You're watching CN2 News. Two Chester County principals wanted to make a difference during the pandemic. They started R.E.A.L.L and Educate LLC to help educators and parents during some tough times. They're focusing on literacy and leadership. CN2's R.E.A.L.L Jackson has more on how they're helping the community.
R.E.A.L and Educate, we are a consulting firm that works with educators as well as entrepreneurs. So with the side where we're working with educators, we offer professional development on literacy as well as implicit bias. We work with leaders and leadership teams to help improve schools.
They've been surviving pandemic education by offering tips for school leaders, teachers, and parents.
We really want to see kids through the trajectory, graduating from high school, ready to go to college or to start a career or to go into the military.
R.E.A.L and Educate has multiple community partners in the area that read books to children weekly, discuss literature, and express their support for the education system. Recently, the owners were featured for Amazon's #1 best-selling book entitled Women Who Lead in Education.
And so we are super, super excited because we're amongst a family of women leaders who are absolutely extraordinary. So it's an honor to have been asked to participate. And then even more of an honor now that the book has gone on sale and it became a #1 bestseller. So you don't have to be a school leader to have leadership qualities.
Collectively, both Tammy Taylor, principal of Great Falls Elementary, and Dr. Sheikah Houston, principal of Chester Middle School, have 40 years of service in education. They have learned the need in their community, and they plan to
serve all children in all communities. And one of the things that we enlighten people about in our professional development with literacy is that sometimes it's hard for children to connect to text because they don't see themselves in text. Providing that culturally relevant literature for students, and that's not just African American students, that's all students. Every student at every school should be able to see themselves in a book, in a text, to be able to connect with it.
Surviving pandemic education together in Chester. R.E.A.L Jackson, CN2 News.
Again, their goal is to help connect educators, parents, community members, and authors each week to help better navigate the pandemic. To learn more about R.E.A.L and Educate LLC, simply follow them on Facebook or at their website.
Join Sheikah and Tammy on the collaborative. Let's go!
The collaborative.
1, 2, 1, 2.
The collaborative.
What's that time?
On Facebook Tuesday at 7.
The collaborative. Who we have? Come on.
We have our leaders. We have our teachers and our parents. We have our authors. Story time at the end. Solving problems in our education system. Phenomenal women.
Join them on Facebook.
On Facebook Tuesday at 7. The collaborative.
It's that time. You're with Sheikah and Tammy.
The collaborative.
Phenomenal ladies. It's educational. Here on the Facebook. The collaborative.
The collaborative.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the collaborative. I'm Dr. Sheikah Houston.
And I am Dr. Tammy Taylor.
And we appreciate you all tuning in and joining us this evening for another episode of the collaborative. Hi, Dr. Roz.
Hey, Dr. Roz.
You go ahead and greet everybody.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the collaborative. We are super excited to have everybody joining us this first Tuesday in March, and we certainly want to pay tribute to all of the phenomenal women who have made this possible for Sheikah and I to have the space because it is Women's History Month. So we want to honor all of our women and celebrate every woman, especially those women who are actually in leadership. We're excited to have you joining us because we, again, take very seriously the opportunity to have this collaborative space for leaders, parents, teachers, all to come together and voice our thoughts on what is happening in education.
Definitely. And normally, and I'm really glad that we have special guests from our district, Mrs. Tonia Moore, who is also Tammy's assistant principal. We are
So honored
to have her with us this evening, and I'm going to go ahead and bring her up. Hi, Tonia.
Hi.
Hey, Tonia.
Thank you for joining us.
We're
Thank
super
you for
excited.
having me. Thank you so much for inviting me to the collaborative tonight.
So I'm going to go ahead and let everyone know who she is, and then we'll go ahead and get the show started. And if you're joining us, go ahead and share the feed on your page so we can get some more people tuning in. So and this is her bio. She is honored to have the opportunity to work at Great Falls Elementary with such a great group of staff members and students. Throughout her 12 years in education, she had the pleasure of working with a variety of students. She served as a kindergarten, second, fourth, and fifth grade teacher and was awarded the Chester County School District Teacher of the Year for the 2017-2018 school year. Prior to becoming a school administrator, she served as a literacy coach in Chester County as well. Tonia enjoys reading, traveling, and spending time with family. She believes in enjoying life by being of service to others. She lives by the quote, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift." Welcome to the collaborative, Tonia.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So excited to have you.
And if you have tuned into the collaborative before, you know that we are an education show. So normally what we do is on this day in history, but because this is Women's History Month, we're actually going to share a little clip from the WISE channel. And I use the WISE channel. We talked about this on the R.E.A.L. Academy on Saturday when I did my town hall meetings. Anytime there was an observance month or something was happening, I would always model in the town hall meetings what I expected for everyone else to do. And sometimes you have to explain to children why you're doing certain things, because some of my boys would say, "Well, Dr. Houston, why we don't have no Men's History Month?" So I would explain, usually when there's a marginalized group of people, we have observances for the things that were done throughout history that hindered them in some type of way in order to elevate them and correct those wrongs. So the WISE channel is a great one that really is inclusive. It's culturally relevant, and the kids used to enjoy it, and they're pretty short. So this is explaining women's history. Let me put that up quickly. Here we go.
The WISE channel celebrates her story, women who did amazing things. You may be wondering why we celebrate women's history. Well, one reason is because most of the time, history is really his story. Over the years, much of history has been written by men, about men, and for men. In fact, about half the people in the world are women. But at the moment, less than 1% of written history is about women. That's a big difference. But it makes sense because in many subjects, you learn more about the accomplishments of men than women. In American history,
the Founding Fathers. These men built and created America.
The Founding Fathers are important. But what about the Founding Mothers, who also helped create and build America? Inventors?
The Wright brothers. These men invented the first successful airplane.
Yes, but what about the great inventions made by women? Civil rights?
Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. These men led the civil rights movement.
But hundreds of women also led the way. This picture of America is his story, but his story is not the whole story. For every history-making man, there is at least one history-making woman. That's why it's important to also learn her story. In March 1982, America celebrated the first Women's History Week, which later became Women's History Month, a time to celebrate the amazing things women have done and continue to do in America. Learning about and celebrating these women all year long helps us to see the whole story of history. It shows girls and boys that women are just as strong, smart, and brave as men. It also reminds us, once we add her story to his story, together we can learn our story. Let's talk. Why do you think we learn so little about women in history? Is it important to learn more? Why or why not? What can you do to learn more about women who did great things? Have you subscribed to the Wise channel? If not, do it today so you don't miss out on our new videos. Have a great day. Bye.
So that's just a cute little way, an engaging way to explain to students about different, and they have a bunch of them, women's history. They even have different women featured in history. So it's something that teachers can continue to use throughout the month as well.
Yes, and we're super excited to be able to celebrate all these amazing women in history and the amazing woman that is joining us tonight.
Most definitely. And thank you all for joining us. I see Mr. Lamont Ratchford on, Miss Anika Jones. Thank you all for tuning in. So the other thing that we do on the collaborative to make sure that everyone gets to know our guest in a little different way is we play a little game of Would You Rather. Okay. And those of you tuning in, you all can also answer as well. So, Miss Moore, would you rather have 6 months of spring or 6 months of winter?
Probably 6 months of winter.
Really?
I'm always hot, and so winter, I kind of do better in the winter time.
I'm definitely a sun girl, so and I know Tim like the winter.
I really actually like the winter because I get to bundle up and stay inside.
Oh my gosh. I should have known. And anybody who eats ice.
I'll eat.
So would you rather spend a bunch of money on your wedding or on your honeymoon?
Definitely honeymoon, because I like to travel, and yes, and all of it be for us. Honeymoon.
I agree. If I had to do it again, I would do honeymoon. Definitely.
Spot on.
And I like to travel too. And the last one is, would you rather go back in time and meet your ancestors or in the future to meet future relatives?
Probably ancestors. I would like to meet those that I never met to get a better idea of where I come from, to learn more about myself. And I can always share with the people in the future, once I learn. So probably ancestors.
Okay. And I usually pick future.
I'm an ancestor. Yeah. I like to be ancestors.
Yeah. But thank you. We appreciate you engaging. Oh my gosh. Mr. Ratchford is one of these traditionalists from the church that stuck on the white usher shoes.
Definitely Crocs.
Thank you. Crocs. Yes, ma'am. We are a Croc generation. Thank you. The new
and
church.
Mr. Rashford and I went to school together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
How about that?
High school.
Small world. So you know how ridiculous he is.
Amazing guy. We are so thankful for him.
We are.
Yes.
So we are she is joining us tonight to tell us about the R.E.A.L.L framework. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about your background, Tonia, and what brought you into education.
Education. I've always wanted to be a teacher. I remember as a little child with my little cousins, I was always the leader, that kind of thing. And when I was early in life in kindergarten, I went to school and I didn't see any Black teachers. Like I had white teachers in kindergarten, but it was the first day of my first grade school year when I walked in. And there was this Black teacher that was standing there at the door. And I remember thinking, oh my God, she's my same color. Is she a teacher? So I went up to her because she wasn't my teacher. And I asked her, are you a teacher? And she said, yes, I am, young lady. And you can be a teacher too, when you grow up. And I would remember watching her around the school. I could not believe that the Black lady was a teacher. And so at that point, it put something in me to know that even little Black people can be something and be a teacher. And so I thank God for her. Miss Veal is her name. And I tell her now how she was an inspiration to me. And she was the one who let me know I could be a teacher. And so I held on to that for years. But in my 8th grade year in school, I ended up getting pregnant and having a child early in life. And so I kind of lost that dream. We had a beauty salon in my family. My mother has a beauty salon. And so I kind of went that route and went into the beauty salon because I already had a child. And so I did not go to school right out of college, right out of high school. And so I kind of gave up on that dream of being a teacher. And I just started doing my career, just doing hair. And I love that. But it was like 10 years later, I think I saw Miss Veal again in the grocery store.
Wow.
And it reminded me of years ago, how that dream and how it just brought back all those memories. Like, wow, if you want to be a teacher, it is not too late. There is still life and you can be whatever you want to be. So after I saw her in the grocery store, very soon after that, I went and I applied for college, ended up getting my degree in education. And I graduated the same year that my daughter graduated from high school. And we actually have pictures that we graduated the same day. And so that helped me. So ever since then, I've been in education. So I'm just thankful that I decided to pursue that because it was always my dream. So that's how I come my second career as an educator.
Wow, that is a powerful story for two reasons. First, representation, and we always say this, it matters. My daughter was in first grade, and I'm an educator, so I just didn't think, she sees me all the time, that something like that would be a big thing to her. But when we got her teacher's card in the mail and she saw that she was an African American woman, she said, Mommy, she's brown. She's brown like me. And I was like, wow, it didn't dawn on me that, what her school looked like and that mattered to her. But it does. It matters to children.
It really does. And Abby's teacher is a brown teacher. So she was the same way when she went to 4-year-old kindergarten and was just like, she's brown. I mean, she didn't have any experience with school. So I think it is something that just automatically, some way or another, connects us.
And as leaders, I hope those that are tuning in, you have to make sure that you're intentional about representation at your school, knowing who's in your school and making sure that people see other people there that are in positions like teaching positions. And I make sure even when I go to schools that I don't want to see everybody who is brown and looks like me that are doing things that are not a part of the teaching staff or, other things, because that sends messages to children. So, representation in every area matters. But the other thing is that this teacher inspired you twice, you going back to your dream and just letting young girls know or children know that sometimes dreams are deferred. They're not denied, but they're deferred. And you went back to your original dream and, you finished that. So what a great accomplishment. What a great story.
Absolutely. And a dream deferred does not mean that it's going to be denied. And I love it. I've told you before how it is just so inspiring to know that you had the resiliency to take that 8th grade situation that could have been catastrophic and changed your life in a different way, to create the kind of person that you are. And develop that heart for people and for children and for what it is you do every day. So super proud to know you.
Thank you.
And so let's get into the R.E.A.L. framework. And the R.E.A.L. framework, for those of you who may be tuning in for the first time, is something that Tammy and I created. And Tonia is also a part of this work. When we were in state sanctioned school improvement, there was not a framework or guidelines or anything telling us how to get out of that status. We were looking for help from people who should have been helping us, but we received none. So we had to figure things out, and together we did with our dynamic staff members, and we put this together because we didn't want other people to have the poor experience that we did going through the school improvement process. All schools need to improve, but when you're in state sanctioned school improvement, there's a different level of pressure there. And so you need some guidance, you need some strategy. So we put this together in order to help people, because this is what helped us. And that R stands for respect. So tell us, and this is the door of our framework, because we feel like that's the main thing that sets the foundation for everything else to happen right in your school. And it has to deal with culture a lot. And tell us what your things that you're doing as far as culture and SEL in that area of the R, respect.
Well, at our school, Dr. Taylor is the principal, as you know, and so she's a great model, an example of respect at our school, because she treats us with respect, and everything she does, she is respectful towards us. So she models that, and so we're able to kind of go off of her lead and do that and show that even to our. So the staff is able to show respect to the students, and in return they give it to us. And part of we have 4 main expectations, and one of them is being kind. And so we focus on that all the time, that respect is a big thing at our school, and it's important for us to show respect so you can get respect in turn. And so that's big at our school. So in everything we do it in a respectful manner. Everything is just kind of a part of who we are at our school.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. No, I was just going to say that the other thing that I think is easy for us to see, and you can see, everybody who's tuning in can see that Tonia's very bubbly and genuine person. So respect is kind of exuded in the way that she handles not just the staff, but the students and parents. And so it's a really big part of just that culture that's been created at the school and cultivated so that everybody comes to the table with the mindset that we do have to be respectful of one another, and that is something that is genuinely expected in all interactions that happen within the school. And I just have to say, we'll just press pause here, because Tonia, I think it's important too that people know that you came to us when we were already identified and in state sanctioned school improvement. So that also speaks to who you are, and not shying away from the work that it was going to take to help us to get through that process. So kudos for that, because you came in to a situation that you didn't have to come to. So I am very thankful that you considered Great Falls Elementary worthy of your expertise that you were bringing, as well as the heart and passion that you were going to contribute to what work we were doing at the school.
Thank you. And Dr. Taylor, you have really been a great model for me, because there are times when I've been able to sit on in tough conversations that you have with staff, but you're able to do it in such a respectful way that you may really be kind of chewing them out, but they don't even realize it, because you do it in such a I'm like, did she just really say that? But it's okay, because you're being respectful. So I'm just so glad that you are my mentor, that I can train and learn from you. So I'm really learning. And so hopefully when I have tough conversations, I hope that I'm showing the same level of respect that I can see in you. So thank you.
And sometimes those crucial conversations are necessary in order to grow people.
Yes.
So you do have to be comfortable in that, but you also have to have things in the tank with them for them to receive what you're saying as
That's
well.
true.
So that respect really comes in there.
That's right.
And we take for granted that adults know how to model that, but sometimes you have to build that capacity, because you can be in buildings sometimes and people will go by each other and not even speak to one another. And we say we have to model that. If this is our children are watching, we can't do business this way. So that respect it has to be in the culture with everyone.
And I think that that's one thing that you can really say at the school is a very strong part of what we do and the work that we've been able to get done, because that mutual respect does exist on a regular, like it's not contrived, and it isn't something that's forced. It's kind of just the way we do business.
Right.
That's right.
So did you want to do the next one?
Sure. Tonia, what about excellence? In what ways are you setting high expectations for students and staff?
Well, it goes back to the beginning of the year at our beginning of the year retreat that we had this year. Dr. Taylor had us to think about our why. And so all of us, all the staff members had to write down why. Why are we here? Like, why did you choose to be in education? Why are you here at GFE? And so just focusing on that. So all year long, she even had us to write it down and hang it outside our doors and to keep that at the forefront of everything we do. And so just remembering our why helps us to be excellent. So when you realize when we have our PLC groups or our MTSS or our interventions, anything we do, and we realize that our goal is to move the children. We're here for the children so they can be all they can be. So keeping that in mind, realizing our why helps us to focus on that and to be excellent and not get caught up in ourselves or being selfish, but we're here for a bigger purpose to make sure that we're fulfilling our why. And so that's one thing that we're doing this year. Thanks to Dr. Taylor. And so in everything, we have our collaborations that we do as a group in our PLC meetings. I'm responsible for MTSS, so making sure we have our interventions. So in every area, we always go back to our why. What's our goal? We want to see kids to move. So what do we have to do to reach this goal? So I would say the one thing to make sure we're excellent, we remember our why. And that's our focus this year.
That is awesome. I love that. And sometimes I've seen a teacher once kind of take that down to like the students, where they would put, he is a math teacher, but he wanted them to remember when math got hard, what they could do to remind them that they could do it. So he put they wrote their own positive statement to themselves and he hung them up on the wall. So anytime they would say things like, oh, this is too hard, he would remember what you said. So, that can also transcend down to the students as well. So I love that. The next part of our acronym, the A, stands for accountability. And we know that without accountability, you really can't expect for things to happen the way you would like for them to happen. Accountability must be there. So how are you all inspecting what you expect?
Yes, so we really, like we said, we have high expectations and everyone is accountable. At GFE, like if we know we need intervention, so everybody from our related arts teachers are willing to jump in to help us to make sure we achieve a goal. Everybody is responsible and looking at the why and realizing why we're here at school, and we all jump in and do it. And so that's one way we're doing it. In MTSS, we have checks where we come do monthly checks where we go and make sure the interventions are being held. And in PLC meetings, teachers are holding each other accountable for, working out. So how can we do this? Your kids was low in this area. So what can we do as a team to help build this? So just working together as a team and keeping each other accountable has been working for us this year.
That's awesome. And that means that people have taken ownership of the work. So that matters when that ownership is there.
They do. And Tonia, the other thing that I think you can just add to what you do to keep us all accountable is we drill down to the kids. Like, you are responsible for your learning. So we include them in your MTSS, that whole process that you've set up for the school, and making sure that work is authentic, and this is not just something that we say we're doing, but you're really looking to see, like, well, what are these interventions? Does the intervention match what it is that we are saying that the child needs, as far as the next strategy for moving them to the next level? So I've seen a lot of that in the work that you've done with your MTSS team and the kids even that are in intervention. So you've done a fantastic job with getting that process started and making sure that that's something with those fidelity checks. Like I know when Shika asked about inspecting what's expected, that's a key component to seeing that these things are actually happening in the classrooms, yes, and checking in on those interventions to make sure that they're happening the way that they should, and the goal setting that's a part of what happens in each class.
That's so true. Because during our map time, our students themselves set goals, like their stretch goals, and they're able to look to see where they need to be. And so they're kind of holding themselves accountable. So that's a great part too, because we have our data walls where they're able to see how they're moving. And so they even come, I met my goal today, or I didn't meet, I was 2 points away. So the children are involved in being held accountable for their own learning as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's a cool part of, I think, the work that is that collaboration, and you know, that's something that we are really big on. So it feels good to see that actually happening in the building. Moving through the acronym, though, the next part of the acronym is literacy, and of course, literacy includes numeracy and just literacy in all areas, social studies and science, and just making sure that content is happening in the school. What does that look like for you?
Well, we have a wonderful literacy coach that helps us and makes sure that literacy is going throughout the school. We have a wonderful media specialist this year that's really working with the teachers and collaborating with them and setting up. I think she's even having book studies with some of the kids. So it's really, literacy is a really big thing. And so just having that component to our school helps us in literacy. So literacy is important. Reading, our students are able to complete reading logs, that they get awarded for, they participate. So that's a big thing, and they really like that. So I think every 9 weeks, if they participate and read a certain amount of books, then they get awarded. So that's one way that we're boosting it. I think last year we had a readathon where they had a race, book race. So we just do a lot of things, anything we can do to get kids to read. We're getting ready to have a book character parade this Friday, and we're celebrating our Dr. Seuss week this week. And so all the students are going to dress up like book characters. So anything we can do to make sure that literacy and reading is fun, we're trying to do that, because reading is very important. And we do believe that readers are truly leaders. And that's what we're trying to grow here at our school. We want all of our students to be leaders. So they really have to be readers. And we're trying to make sure that they enjoy reading, and so they can become readers.
Awesome. Yeah. And I know you all have a math coach too.
Oh yeah, and numeracy is just as important. And you want to speak to some of those things, because Miss Brooks is absolutely phenomenal too. We got
both of our coaches,
the best coaches in the world. But and the same is true of the kinds of things that they are doing with what happens in math in the school. And the thing that I love though about the way that math happens is the structure for math is based on what they're doing in reading, and the way that Allison supports Deborah and the way that Deborah supports Allison, I think sends the message that we can't have one to be successful without the other. And so it's very evident that it's a combined effort at the school. And even with our new schedule, like we are on a modified schedule this year, where we're able to integrate in most grades our content into ELA. So it's been a really powerful experience to see that we are actually, that integration is happening so that those standards are being met through literacy activities. And that's something that I think will yield dividends for us in the future.
I love that they collaborate. That is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Because children notice those types of things
They
too.
do, and we do have a math and science fair. Like the reason we can speak so um, boldly to what happens in literacy is because it seems to happen like all the time because the kids go to the media center weekly. Now, what we do is in the spring they have a really big math and science fair, and we have a real strong GT tire team.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of great things happening in the area of instruction. We have those expectation guides that we've provided for them, Tonya, that I think also supports the instruction in all areas in the school. And that's not something that is required. That's something that our coaches have come together and put together as resources to make sure that the teachers in each classroom had exactly what they need down to the resource to teach this standard to the depth that it is supposed to be taught. So the teachers feel very comfortable in literacy, numeracy, everything in the school, math, reading, because of the coaches and the work that they've done for them. That's foundational.
So true.
That's awesome. And the last L, we have a double L in R.E.A.L. in our acronym. That last L stands for leadership, because without leadership, it's hard to really have anything. So speak to us about the mission, the vision, the systems, anything that relates to leadership that you think is important to talk about tonight.
Well, one thing I like about GFE and how Dr. Taylor allows us to operate is that she kind of empowers all of us to be leaders. She encourages us to be leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for example, if you like just, for example, this week it was a teacher or a team that really thought they wanted to do something else. They want to pull a group and do something differently with it. Dr. Taylor was all for it. That's fine. We'll work it out so you can pull this group and do that. And so she just empowers us to whatever we need. Again, we're looking at our why and we're trying to be excellent so these kids can reach that. So whatever you need to do, I'm going to help you to do that, to be that leader. And so she worked it out so the teacher can pull that group and do whatever, the teacher felt they need to do to help the students. So, so leadership. So we have, being that we have a great leader that remembers her why and is respecting all of us and helping all of us to be excellent, and we holding each other accountable. We all able to be leaders and to respect our leaders. So we're leaders ourselves, leading our school. So it's just a wonderful thing. And I'm thankful to be a part. I am.
That is awesome. And that matters, because when you're not developing people and empowering people, they're not inspired. So they don't do things that, could move the needle. And a lot of times when we push things down, we're not relying on our teachers as experts, and they are the experts. So to empower them, to entrust them, those are phenomenal things that should be happening in leadership. So I commend you both for doing that with your school. And we have great news that we've celebrated. We're going to keep celebrating this news about you all coming off the CSI list. So phenomenal work to you all and all of the staff members. And, I told Tammy before, it took the state 3 years to redo the list, but technically we were off the list the first year after the report card rating went up from unsatisfactory to 2 points from being excellent. So y'all went up from unsatisfactory to good, only 2 points from being excellent. That is unheard of and phenomenal work. So
and we have had a question. Put that back up, Sheikah.
Okay.
It's Darrington Ramsey was asking, what metrics are you using to measure whether your why is being realized in actual concrete outcomes? And there are layers of metrics. For example, we rely heavily on our NWEA MAP scores to determine if we're seeing the growth that is supposed to be observed, or if we're going beyond that. And fortunately, we are. We have excellent growth with our NWEA, but we also use NWEA's MAP reading fluency as a metric to measure in the lower grades to see how our kids are developing and if the teachers are actually being impactful in the instruction that's happening in the classroom. We also use benchmarks and common formative assessments. We also have, our school has elected to do an additional benchmark that kind of is our pivot for the second semester. And when we get those benchmark results back, we use TE21. And when we get those benchmark results back, that's kind of when they formulate their next plan and they come together to decide what we need to do to get towards that end of the year. And we do have other things besides performance data.
And I was going to say, if you're talking about people's personal whys, that comes with reflection.
Yes.
So we teach our teachers and our staff members to reflect frequently. So you know whether or not your why is being realized when you're reflecting on your getting your results and whether or not that why you came into education or why you're there or why you're doing what you set out to do, your specific goal for yourself, because everyone, in addition to our vision at our schools, in addition to our school goals, people do have their own personal goals.
Absolutely.
So when we give them that time to reflect, whatever their personal goal is, they determine and reflect on whether or not that has been met or not.
And one of the things that we do in that arena is we drill on down to the student level there, so that the kids even help us to understand whether or not the whys are being met, because we are a PBIS school. And so we do actually have our students to reflect on how they're doing, and the teachers reward them with honey money is what we have at our school. And so the kids are able to also take time to see what is happening within themselves and what's happening in those classrooms. And then they're able to use that honey money that they get in our bursary to make sure that they understand how much we appreciate the fact that they too are helping us to actualize those classroom goals that we have for them beyond academics. So it's more than performance data, but basically, and it's just what keeps this real for us is when you're in state sanctioned school improvement, the bottom line always comes back to what that data looks like, which is why it's so important for us to actually invest in the development of the staff and to invest in the development of the students, because that helps us to keep them motivated to do what has to be done when it comes to those end of the year and state tests that tell us whether we're going to be able to come out of improvement or not.
And just to give you my personal example, one of my personal goals, it was to inspire my students and staff. I took great pride in being able to do that. And when you're in state sanctioned school improvement, what you don't have usually is a whole lot of people who are feeling good about what is happening, because you have this big U sitting on your school and everyone that is in it. So inspiring them to realize this is not who we are, this is not what we are, and we're going to show the world who we actually are, to be able to have people to follow your vision to do that. My why was realized.
Absolutely. And why this was important for us to do that. What we're capable of can only be defined by us.
Exactly.
And so that's a really important part of what we do, and help us to know if that answered your question. Drake Darrington.
Hopefully
Ramsey?
so.
Hopefully that was a good answer to your question.
But thank you so much, Tonia. We have enjoyed you, and your story is just so inspirational. I hope people share this out and go back and watch it, even again. So we appreciate you being on with us and just everything that you do at Great Falls Elementary for our district, for our students, but also for young ladies in the community. So thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you all for having me. I enjoyed being on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you can hang on with us. This is story time now.
Okay.
And we incorporated story time at the start of the collaborative. We started this back when the pandemic first happened. And so we wanted people to understand the benefits of story time. We didn't want to lose the momentum we had gained with our students with literacy and getting them to read. So we partnered with some great story time platforms. There is Reading with Miss McGriff. She comes on Tuesdays at 6:45. Read with Carrie Lee. She has a YouTube channel that has multiple stories and authors and great books with representation. Reading with Mr. Lamada, and then Lit Weekend with Mr. Fluellen. So story time is very beneficial. It helps your child or students understand their sounds, their words, their language. It helps them to learn the value of stories. It sparks their imagination and stimulates curiosity. For older children, it's a great way to connect with them, teach them lessons, and build relationships. Sometimes it gives you that role to be able to talk to them because now my daughter's, she's older, 11. They don't want to talk anymore. So now you kind of got to pull that talking out of them. And sometimes a good story is a good way to do that. But our quote that we always use by Frank Serafini, there aren't children who hate to read. There are only children who have not found the right book. So we encourage teachers, parents to continue to put books in children's hands, read to them, put on story time, encourage them to read, but just engage with your children. At some point, we have to get away from the electronics. And I'm talking to myself when I'm saying this. You know, we got to put the phones down. We got to get off of StreamYard. You know, we got to talk to our children and find out what's happening and make sure that they are okay socially and emotionally as well. So our story that we're hearing today is from Read with Carrie Lee. And it's A Beautiful Flower.
Ode to Brown Girl. Okay. Beautiful flower in Ode to Brown Girl. Brown girl, you're a beautiful flower with love. You deserve to be showered. Brown girl, often minimized. They tell you that the only way to be beautiful is to modify. Beautiful is the texture of your hair, your nose, and your skin. Let me explain to you the importance of your melanin. You are a queen, so rich, so precious, and so right. Beautiful you are in every way as your dark skin glows through the night. Your body is perfect with every mark and curve. When you walk into a room, your boldness causes others to observe. Some people say that you are aggressive and rude, but that could not be farther from the truth. They are only amazed because they desire your grace. Your round nose and thick lips are a part of what make you unique. The beauty flows from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. The curl of your hair makes others envy. They even copy your style and call it trendy. You are so gorgeous and so smooth, a lovely reflection in your complexion. Your darkness catches the eyes of others in every direction. Your fearlessness, others cannot deny. You cannot be imitated, even if they try. Brown girl, be confident in who you are. You're a beautiful flower, so blossom afar.
Well, that
So we hope you enjoyed the story, and we love yeah, I thought I was unmuted. We hope you enjoyed the story. We love Read with Carrie Lee's platform. She brings on some phenomenal authors, and we also have a show where we try to elevate the voices of authors, because a lot of times with literacy, we're not very, very well represented. Kids are not able to see themselves a lot in books. So we were intentional about making sure those classroom libraries were filled with books that children are able to see themselves in. So our show, connecting parents and educators with great resources, we try to intentionally look for books and authors that children are able to readily see themselves in and get them motivated about reading. Sometimes it's like the quote says, it's not that children hate to read. Sometimes they don't want to read what you're putting in front of them. So you have to know their interests. You have to know your children. You have to know their background and try to put something in their hands that they are interested in.
Definitely. And try to find books that they can relate to, because the relatability is super important. Like that story was a really beautiful brown girl story.
Yes, I love that one. It's so appropriate for Women's History Month. And just in honor of Women's History Month, there's two women that we would like to recognize who tune in regularly to our platform. And that is Miss Dot McKeever Jeter and also Miss Donna Scherer Grant. Both of them are just phenomenal women in education. And we wanted to honor them by recognizing them in honor of Women's History Month. So thank you, ladies, for what you do. Miss Dot is usually on with us every Saturday or anytime she gets the notification. She's always encouraging us. And Miss Grant is sharing us out to everybody and tagging us in things when she's on something that she knows is applicable to us. So we salute you, ladies. Definitely. And guys, we want you to make sure that you join us on Saturdays for PD with Sheikah and Tammy at 10:30, and that's Eastern time. We are so thankful and elated to be a part of that Fantastic Four PLN on Saturdays. That starts with Principal Sean Hurd, who is on just before us at 10. And then we come on at 10:30, and then following us is Principal Kafele at 10:55. And then that ends on Sunday evening with Unlock the Middle with Josh and Dean. And we also encourage you to tune in with Dr. Roz and Coach Williams on Tuesdays. But we are going to continue this week to talk about the impact of Black women leaders. So we invite you to join us and look forward to seeing everybody there. And also thank you to all of our community partners that we tag in this particular broadcast for the collaborative. If you are tuning in, share us out, because some people are not aware of the information, and it's helpful for parents as well as educators and community members. And visit our website at www.createandeducate.solutions. Follow us on our other platforms so that it just helps our Facebook algorithm. And also we're on LinkedIn and YouTube. So we just want to get that information out there. Everything that we do, we're paying it forward, because again, we don't want people to go through what we went through when we didn't receive support, and we want to be that support for people who need it. So thank you all for tuning in, and we hope to see you back next month. We are on the collaborative the first Tuesday of each month, and like Tammy said, every Saturday at 10:30. So make it a great rest of your week, guys. Enjoy.
Join Sheikah and Tammy on the collaborative. Let's go!
The collaborative.
Where 1 2 1 2.
The Collaborative
What's that time?
on Facebook Tuesday at 7.